The Anderson family Christmas dinner, where passive-aggressive comments were served alongside turkey and status anxiety was the main course. I parked my embarrassingly practical Tesla Model 3 between Dad's Rolls-Royce and my brother Michael's Aston Martin, already hearing the comments that would follow. My tiny consulting business had been their favorite topic of mockery since I'd left the family's manufacturing empire, Anderson Industries, 5 years ago. If only they knew that Anderson Industries was now secretly owned by my firm Phoenix Consulting Group, through a carefully orchestrated series of acquisitions. Tonight they'd find out. Sarah. Mom's voice carried across the snow-covered lawn of their mansion. Still driving that economic car, I see. I smiled, thinking of the fleet of supercars in my private garage. It gets me where I need to go, Mother. The foyer was decked in its usual Christmas extravagance, imported decorations, professional lighting, and a 15-foot tree that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. Family photos covered the walls, heavily featuring Michael in his role as Anderson Industries CFO. My photos stopped at college graduation, when I'd committed the unforgivable sin of starting my own business instead of joining the family company. Sarah, darling, Dad called from his study, barely looking up from his papers. I heard that startup you were advising went bankrupt. Perhaps it's time to reconsider your position at Anderson Industries. If he only knew that startup was a shell company I'd used to acquire another piece of his empire. Michael emerged from the living room, smugness radiating from his custom Tom Ford suit. Still playing business consultant, sis? Must be tough watching real executives work while you help mom-and-pop shops with their spreadsheets. I bit back a laugh, thinking of the Fortune 500 CEOs who regularly sought my counsel. Of the global corporations Phoenix had quietly acquired. Of the fact that I now technically signed Michael's paychecks. Dinner's ready, Mom announced, leading us to the formal dining room. Sarah, do try to keep the business talk to a minimum. No one wants to hear about your little consulting projects. I took my usual seat, the furthest from Dad's position at the head of the table. The annual performance was about to begin. The board meeting tomorrow should be interesting, Dad mentioned, carving the turkey. Some mysterious investment group has been buying up shares. Probably another amateur attempt at a hostile takeover. Michael puffed up importantly. Don't worry, Dad. I've reviewed all potential threats. Nobody has the resources or expertise to take over Anderson Industries. I sipped my wine to hide my smile, thinking of the complex network of shell companies and investment vehicles I'd used to acquire controlling interest in Anderson Industries. Tomorrow's board meeting would reveal that Phoenix Consulting Group and its enigmatic chairman now owned their precious family company. Sarah, Mom's voice dripped with false concern, that outfit must have been quite an investment for you. Consignment shop. Something like that, I replied mildly, smoothing my bespoke Chanel suit that cost more than her entire Christmas decoration budget. Still doing that consulting? Dad sneered. Real business leaders run companies, not give advice to failing ones. I thought about the global empire I'd built, the corporations I'd transformed, the innovations I'd pioneered while Anderson Industries clung to its outdated manufacturing processes. Tell me, Dad, I said carefully, how's Anderson Industries handling the automation transition? I hear newer companies are taking market share with their advanced manufacturing processes. His face darkened. We maintain methods that have worked for generations. Unlike these startup manufacturers with their robots and AI systems. If only he knew that Phoenix had developed the automation software his own factories had failed to replicate. Just then the doorbell rang. Mom frowned. No one interrupted Anderson family Christmas dinner. Henderson, their butler, appeared moments later. Mr. Anderson, Anderson Industries CEO and several board members are here. They say it's urgent. Dad's face reddened. Send them in. This had better be important. Robert Chen, the CEO they'd hired last year, walked in looking distinctly uncomfortable. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on me. Madam Chairman, he said, nodding respectfully in my direction. The board is waiting for your instructions regarding tomorrow's meeting. Mom's plate crashed to the floor. Michael choked on his wine. Dad's carving knife clattered against the turkey. What did you just call her? Dad whispered. I stood slowly, smoothing my suit. I believe we should move this discussion to the study. After all, it's not polite to mix business with Christmas dinner, isn't that right, Mother? The family embarrassment had just become their worst nightmare. The silence that followed us to Dad's study was thick enough to cut with his abandoned carving knife. Family photos stared down at us from the walls, generations of Anderson men looking disapprovingly at the daughter who dared to go her own way. "This is impossible," Dad finally managed, his hands shaking as he gripped the edge of his mahogany desk. "You can't be the chairman of Phoenix Consulting Group?" I finished, settling into his leather chair, a power move that made him flinch. "The same Phoenix that now owns controlling interest in Anderson Industries? But I am." Michael burst in, clutching his tablet. "The shell companies, the gradual stock acquisitions, the mystery investor group." His Harvard MBA was finally proving useful as understanding dawned. "It was all you. While you were playing CFO," I said, pulling up documents on my phone, "I was building something bigger than Anderson Industries could ever dream of being. Would you like to see the numbers?" I projected the figures onto the study wall. Phoenix Consulting Group's current valuation is 20 times that of Anderson Industries. Our technology division alone is worth more than your entire manufacturing operation. "Technology division?" Mom whispered from the doorway. "But you're just a small-time consultant." "That's what I wanted you to think," I smiled. "Did none of you ever actually investigate my company? Or did you just assume I was failing because it fit your narrative?" Robert Chin, the CEO, cleared his throat. "The board members are waiting in their cars. They're eager to discuss the modernization plan." "Modernization?" Dad's voice rose. "There's nothing wrong with our current dash. Everything is wrong with your current methods." I cut him off. "Your factories are outdated, your processes are inefficient, and your resistance to automation has cost the company millions. Would you like to see those numbers too?" I pulled up more projections. "Under your leadership, Anderson Industries' market share has dropped 40% in 5 years. Your major clients are switching to more innovative manufacturers. The only thing keeping your stock price up was the steady buying by my shell companies." Michael slumped against the wall. "The automation software we tried to develop was a pale imitation of what Phoenix already had," I finished. "By the way, the board members have received detailed reports on your failed projects and creative accounting. Particularly interesting reading in the sections about misappropriated R&D funds." The color drained from his face. We both knew what those reports would reveal: the covered-up failures, the wasted millions, the doctored success rates he'd presented to the board. "You can't do this to your own family," Mom pleaded. "Think of your father's legacy." "Legacy?" I stood, walking to the family photos. "Like the legacy of telling every business contact in the industry that I was delusional for starting my own company? Or the legacy of trying to blacklist my consulting firm when I first started?" Robert Chin stepped forward. "The modernization team is ready to begin implementation tomorrow morning. The new automated systems dash over my dead body." Dad roared, finally finding his voice. "I'll call an emergency shareholder meeting. We'll fight this dash." "The shareholders have already voted," I interrupted, displaying another document. "Unanimously in favor of the modernization plan. Your leadership team's services are no longer required." I pulled out 3 envelopes. "Your severance packages are generous, more than you deserve. Sign them tonight and we'll call it a clean break." "You ungrateful dash," Dad started. "Careful," I warned softly. "You're about to insult your new boss." My phone buzzed, a message from my COO. "Construction crews ready. New signage arrives at midnight." "Speaking of changes," I continued, "the Anderson Industries name will be retired effective tomorrow. All facilities will be rebranded as Phoenix Manufacturing within the week." "You're destroying everything we built," Mom whispered. "No," I corrected her. "I'm saving what's left of it. Your outdated methods, your resistance to innovation, your nepotistic management style, it all ends tomorrow." I walked to the door, then turned back. "Oh, and about my little consulting projects? Ask your friends at Sterling Manufacturing and Roberts Industries who their new owner is. Spoiler alert, they're also part of Phoenix now." The look of dawning horror on their faces was priceless as they realized the scope of what I'd built while they were busy mocking my career choice. "The board meets at 8 a.m. sharp," I announced. "Don't bother attending, your resignations will be announced first thing." As I reached the study door, Dad found his voice again. "Sarah, wait, We can talk about this. We just did, I replied without turning around. For 5 years, you talked about exactly what you thought of me. Tomorrow you'll learn exactly what that cost you. Walking back to the dining room, I picked up my wine glass for one final toast. Merry Christmas, family. Consider this my gift to the company, saving it from your incompetence. The look of stunned defeat on their faces was better than any Christmas present they could have given me. The family embarrassment had just become their worst nightmare. And tomorrow the real changes would begin. The next morning I arrived at Anderson Industries headquarters before sunrise. The massive Anderson Industries sign loomed over the entrance, its outdated font a perfect symbol of everything wrong with the company. Construction crews waited in their trucks, ready to begin the transformation. My so Lisa met me in the lobby, tablet in hand. Your brother tried to access the mainframe at 4 a.m. Apparently he thought he could delete some interesting financial records. And his credentials were revoked hours ago. Everything's been backed up and sent to the forensic accounting team. I smiled, adjusting my crimson power suit. And Dad tried to call an emergency board meeting at his country club. Unfortunately, all the board members were already in our executive briefing, reviewing the evidence of management misconduct. The lobby was still dark, but security cameras showed employees starting to arrive. They'd find their key cards redirected to a temporary entrance where new IDs would be issued, Phoenix IDs. Your mother is calling every business contact she has, Lisa continued, trying to rally support. How's that working out? Most of them already work for us. The rest are too busy reviewing our purchase offers for their own companies. The elevator dinged and Michael burst out, his designer suit wrinkled from what was clearly a sleepless night. The system, my files. What have you done? Protected the evidence, I replied calmly. The SEC will be particularly interested in those special project accounts you've been managing. His face went pale. You wouldn't. Actually, I would. And I did. They're reviewing everything as we speak. Mom's voice rang across the lobby. Sarah, what is the meaning of this? She waved her phone, showing an email about the mansion. The company house is company property, I finished for her. And the new company has different plans for it. The relocation team will help you move out by the end of the week. Move out? But we've lived there for 30 years. On the company's dime, I reminded her. The mansion will make an excellent innovation center and startup incubator. The front doors flew open and Dad stormed in, followed by several old guard executives. This ends now. I've called the major shareholders who now work for me, I cut him off. Amazing how quickly people change allegiance when presented with actual innovation and competent leadership. I nodded to Lisa, who pressed a button on her tablet. The lobby lights came on full, revealing teams of workers already removing the Anderson family photos from the walls. Digital displays flickered to life, showing Phoenix's corporate vision and achievements. What are they doing? Dad demanded, watching his precious photos being carefully boxed up. Dragging this company into the 21st century, I replied. Those photos are going to the corporate museum we're building. A reminder of how not to run a modern manufacturing company. The main doors opened again, admitting a stream of business reporters. Right on schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced, my voice carrying across the marble lobby, welcome to the future of American manufacturing. As of this moment, Anderson Industries ceases to exist. In its place, Phoenix Manufacturing will bring true innovation to this industry. The digital displays switched to showing Phoenix's manufacturing innovations, our automated systems, our efficiency metrics, our global reach. To our employees, I continued, change is coming. Those who embrace it will thrive. Those who resist, I glanced at my family, will need to seek opportunities elsewhere. Security appeared with cardboard boxes. Mr. Anderson, Mr. Michael Anderson, your offices need to be cleared by noon. Dad made one last desperate attempt. You can't just erase 70 years of history. I'm not erasing it, I corrected him. I'm acknowledging it for what it was, a cautionary tale about the dangers of resisting progress. I turned to the assembled press. Anderson Industries was founded in 1953 with a vision of American manufacturing excellence. Somewhere along the way, that vision became clouded by ego, complacency, and resistance to change. Today we restore that original vision, updated for the modern era. The construction crews outside began removing the old Anderson Industries sign. Through the glass doors we could see the new Phoenix logo being prepared. "You've destroyed this family," Mom whispered, tears in her eyes. "No," I replied, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I've saved this company from our family. There's a difference." As security escorted them out, Dad protesting, Michael sulking, Mom in tears, I addressed the gathered employees one final time. "The era of manufacturing by tradition is over. Welcome to manufacturing by innovation." The new Phoenix logo illuminated above the entrance, casting its light across the transformed lobby. The family company was dead. Long live the new empire. But the most satisfying moment came later that evening. As I sat in my office, formerly Dad's sacred sanctuary, reviewing the day's transformation, my phone buzzed with a text from Aunt Catherine, Dad's estranged sister. "I saw the news. Your grandfather would be proud. He always said the company needed someone who could see the future, not just cling to the past. Maybe that's why they pushed me out when I suggested modernizing 20 years ago. Show them what a woman with vision can do." I smiled, remembering the aunt they'd labeled too radical for suggesting computers might be important in manufacturing. The aunt they'd forced out when she tried to revolutionize their processes. The aunt who'd secretly mentored me all these years. "Thanks for teaching me everything they refused to learn," I texted back. "The Innovation Center will be named after you." The perfect epilogue to the family drama, honoring the first Anderson visionary they'd pushed aside, while introducing the last Anderson they'd ever underestimate. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's succeeding at everything they said you couldn't do.